Bro, what the fuck, nigga? We got 14-year-old pleads guilty to teen girl's murder. Ages 12, 16, and 17 were arrested and charged for the brutal murder of 16-year-old Layla. And the youngest was 14. 40 years to life, and she gave it. Threw away your life, little bro. Everything in the videos for education purposes only.
We are shocked.
Bro, don't interrupt me, young nigga. The fuck, everything in this video is for educational purposes only. Like, comment, subscribe, nigga. I don't know why this shit so motherfucking low quality, but we still finna watch the shit anyway, cuz. Come on.
We are shocked. Not only are the victims juveniles, but the murderers are juveniles as well.
We see a lot of shocking cases, especially out of the Sunshine State of Florida. In this case, you have three very young suspects. At the time, one was 17, another one 16, and the youngest one was just 12 years old at the time of their arrest. All were arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection to the murders of three other teens.
12 arrested for homicide? Gang, come on, fool.
All were arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection to the murders of three other teens. But there's still
three other teens. Come on, fool.
So much more to this story.
And what the fuck she had to die for?
Each and every one of them, in some shape or form, is associated with a gang.
Damn.
Basically, simple terms, there is no honor among thieves. And at some point, these three individuals turned on our three victims and murdered them.
I'm Elizabeth Milner with Law and Crime. So you have three suspects and three victims, but it looks like one of the boys charged in the case won't even be going on trial. He went forward with a plea deal, but like with many deals, it comes with strings attached. We're going back to March of 2023 for this case. On March 30th, 16-year-old Layla Silvernail was found on the side of the road. She was rushed to a local hospital where she passed away from her injuries. Now, the following morning, deputies found
on the side of the road. Why was she thrown on the side of the road?
Another body, this one of 17-year-old Michael Hodo Jr. Then another body was found the following day, also of gunshot wounds, this one of 16-year-old Camille Quarles. All of their murders were connected, from what investigators say, but the details were pretty shocking.
As all of you are well aware, last Thursday, March 30th, we received a call near Forest Lakes Park, where our first victim, Layla Silvernail, was located suffering from a gunshot wound. She would later succumb to her injuries. The following morning, we responded to a location about a half a mile away and located a second victim deceased on the side of the road from an apparent gunshot wound.
Why y'all keep dumping shit on the side of the road? Like, do y'all not have fucking lakes or bodies of water or digging? Do y'all not have any other way to dump a fucking body?
Then on Saturday, April 1st, my deputies located Layla's car abandoned and partially submerged in a pond about 9 miles from the location where she was found. My investigators located the third victim inside of the car. And I'll go ahead and tell you, because you've been asking me for specific details. She was located in the trunk. Now,
so that was from the dump her ass too?
to clear up before we get into those details, based on the interviews, digital evidence from her phone, she was there of her own free will.
Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods kept it tight-lipped on who the third victim was during that press conference, but it was later revealed that it was 16-year-old Camille's body found in that trunk. Sheriff Woods said at the time investigators were quick to know who the suspects were. I mean, you can see two of the suspects on the screen at the press conference, but who are they? Well, a then 17-year-old Robert Robinson and a then 12-year-old Christopher Atkins, and then a 16-year-old Taj Bruton, who was actually on the run at the time the sheriff held this press conference.
On the run at 16 is crazy, gang. Like, where the fuck is you gonna go, cuz?
Suspects were in the vehicle. This individual, who is a juvenile also, is who we're looking for.
Okay. Fine.
Now, I'm talking to the viewers. Some of you know him, you know where he is, and you need to turn him in.
Okay.
Now, I will get him.
You will get him?
I will find him.
Find him?
and justice will be completed.
But the sheriff dropped a huge bombshell that all 3 teens, the victims included, were involved with robberies and burglaries, and that's not all.
Now, the investigators were able to determine that this group of juveniles were involved in committing burglaries and robberies, which they referred to as a lick.
As a lick. A lick.
Now, although we had out there that was gang related, we have nothing specific to say that it was any rivalry or anything to such that cause.
Mm-hmm.
But however, each and every one of them, in some shape or form, is associated with a gang. Basically, simple terms, there is no honor among thieves. And at some point, these 3 individuals turned on our 3 victims and murdered them. 2 of them right there. They fled the scenes.
Catching a body at 12 gotta be one of the most craziest thing I ever heard, though, nigga. Like, cuz, what is you doing, fool?
But
you supposed to be in 7th grade, but you out here killing people.
Left a lot of evidence in their wake. Through the cooperation of the agencies that I previously mentioned and my office, we were able to begin compiling all of the evidence and finding these killers. Now, we were shocked and saddened by the violence, as all of my citizens, because we are shocked not only are the victims juveniles, but the murderers are juveniles as well.
So Taj Bruton was arrested by U.S. Marshals 2 days after that press conference. Then in May of that same year, all 3 were indicted by a grand jury. But let's get into what investigators revealed in the arrest affidavit, specifically Christopher Atkins. According to the
bro, that's a young nigga, fool.
Document, a witness reported to deputies that a car struck his garage dumpster. As he walked to the dumpster, he saw Layla bleeding from her head. She was still breathing when she was discovered. Another witness, whose name was redacted from the report, also recalled hearing the sounds of 4 or 5 loud pops, which she believed to be gunshots. This witness said after hearing the pops, she looked out of her window and saw a 4-door sedan drive off, but slowly, and that's when the car collided into the dumpster. She said she saw someone run out of the front passenger seat, only noting whoever it was skinny and wearing a baseball cap, but whoever was driving the car took off again.
It sounded like that 12-year-old young nigga, fool. I think that was him who ran out, because he looks skinny bones, cuz.
Whoever it was skinny and wearing a baseball cap, but whoever was driving the car took off again after being confronted. So Layla was shot, but her car was gone. Investigators say the final 2 license plate reader detections were consistent with Layla's car traveling to where her body was found and where Michael's body was later found. Because as we know, the next day he was found unresponsive in a ditch and a bunch of blood was near his head. Now authorities saw drag marks. Michael was wearing gloves and a ski mask, and his clothes were saturated in blood. A lot of Michael's portion was redacted, even his name. We only know his name through reports after the fact. So the sedan the witness saw was found. It was found near the edge of some water. Evidence techs opened the trunk and saw a body. Camille's name was also redacted out of the report, but as we know from the sheriff, it was her body found in that trunk.
That shit's so crazy.
Investigators say her body was partially decomposing. When they pulled her out of the trunk, she had a gunshot wound to her right temple with close-range powder burns. She was also shot in the stomach. A friend told police both Camille and Layla had been staying at her home for a couple of months. That friend said they made...
Nah, gang, I think y'all might actually be fucking demons, cause ain't no way you actually 12 years old, nigga. You a fucking demon, gang. Just reincarnated into a young body, cause nigga, what is you doing at 12 years old, shooting people in the head and dumping them in the... Nah, fool. Hell nah.
Several stops in Layla's car on the day of the murders,
demon,
and even went to hang out with Robert Robinson at
like, look at, that's a demon, cuz.
His so-called trap house. They left because it wasn't air conditioned. That friend was later dropped off by Layla at her home, and Layla reportedly went to pick up the others. Both Robert and Christopher confessed to what happened, that they were planning to rob someone for marijuana while car hopping. Robert claimed one of the victims, the affidavit didn't say which one, was directing Layla to a location where they could commit burglaries. Layla was doing a U-turn, and that's when she was shot and killed while at the wheel. So who shot who? Well,
whoa.
Doing a U-turn, and that's when she was shot and killed while at the wheel.
So she busts a U-turn, park her car for 2 seconds, boom. Y'all just gonna face her ass like, what's wrong with y'all, fool?
So who shot who? Well, according to the arrest affidavit, Taj Bruton shot and killed Layla and Michael. When that happened, Christopher Atkins took off running.
For what though? Like, what did you kill them for? Like, was it for money? Was it for the car nigga? Like, what was it for?
When her car hit the dumpster. When he returned to the car, Taj allegedly then told the 12-year-old there was someone in the trunk of the car. And as you heard from the sheriff in that press conference, Camille was there by choice for some reason. Christopher allegedly told police that he was forced to shoot Camille by Robert, who allegedly said if he didn't do it, Christopher's whole family would be killed. He shot her, but didn't think that she was dead, so Robert finished the job. According to the report,
What?
who allegedly said if he didn't do it, Christopher's whole family would be killed.
So you threatening your nigga whole family if he didn't catch your body? What?
Camille was there by choice for some reason. Christopher allegedly told police that he was forced to shoot Camille by Robert, who allegedly said if he didn't do it, Christopher's whole family would be killed. He shot her, but didn't think that she was dead, so Robert finished the job. According to the report, Christopher didn't even know Layla, Michael, or even Taj prior to that day. But the three of them took Layla's car to the pond. With now Taj behind the wheel after dumping her body, they took Layla's car to the lake, dumped Michael's body in a ditch, then drove her car to a pond, and that's where the car was discovered with Camille still in the trunk. Now we're still years after that horrible, horrible crime, and the
Y'all let getting sent up the road. I ain't even got to say too much, cuz life with no parole, no none of that. Just give him life, cuz.
three teens are
Don't even give him the death penalty. You gotta live your whole life in jail. Like, no getting out, no none of that shit. Just live life in jail.
little bit older, but they're still teenagers. Taj Newton is now 18, Robert Robinson is now 19, and Christopher Atkins is now 14 years old. While Robert and
Yeah, nigga, 14 years old in jail for a fucking murder. Three different murder charges. Like, what the fuck?
Taj await trial for the murder, Christopher took a plea deal. He still faces anywhere between 40 years to life in prison.
You still facing 40 years to life, so what you copping a plea for? You might as well just take what they gonna give you.
But because of
You ain't getting out, gang. You're not getting out, fool. It's over with.
his age, will be eligible for parole after 25 years. But there's a
After 25 years, you will be eligible for parole. So you mean you gotta be like 39, 40 before you even eligible for parole. Like, what?
huge stipulation. Christopher has to testify against his other co-defendants when they go on trial, which is supposed to happen this July. There is so much to break down in this case, so I'm joined now by trial attorney and federal litigator Alexis Rosenberg. Alexis, thank you so much for joining me today. You know, before we get into the plea deal, let's talk about the case overall. We have 6 teenagers, 3 are dead. The other 3 are murder suspects, well, murder co-defendants now. But what's your reaction to this case, especially seeing and knowing just how vicious it was?
It's a horrible situation. We can't get around that. We have 6 minors that, the allegations are that they went out to rob houses together, and 3 of them end up dead. It's very sad, with the youngest at the time being only 12.
Yeah, 12 years old, such a young age. Like, I just remember being 12 and, it's completely different, just my experience versus what this defendant's experience was. But what do you make of just authorities talking about, all the robberies that they were planning on committing that day, the burglaries that they were planning on doing? And in your opinion, is that something that you see often, maybe possibly particularly in Marion County? I know you're not from there, that area, but in that area specifically, what are your thoughts about that?
So what's come out is that at least the 3 that are, have been charged with the crime were part of a gang. There are some allegations whether the other 3 were also part of a gang. So I think that what's really concerning about this is because that they're all minors, but we have a 12-year-old. So was the 12-year-old coerced into doing this? What was the situation? I mean, even if we don't say he was coerced or threatened, we have a situation where he was pulled in by much older teens. I mean, the other teens are 16 and 17 years old. That's a huge age gap. So, that's concerning as well. And he came forward. He has, now pled guilty. And he seems to be, even at the young age of now 14, trying to take responsibility for his participation in this gruesome crime.
And normally it seems like when we cover these types of cases, as far as young defendants allegedly committing very violent acts, especially murder like we have in this case, normally the victims are family members or relatives or someone kind of close to them. But from this case, it doesn't seem like all of them knew each other particularly that well, to the point that you could even really say that they were friends. It seems like some people knew others, but others didn't know the others, that type of thing. And it's a really kind of a tangled web just as far as their previous relationships prior to the day of the murders. But as far as just your reaction to them not really knowing each other that well, what are your thoughts on that, especially given, you do have a 12-year-old boy who now will spend what could be the rest of his life in prison?
So you nailed it. It is a tangled web, and there seems to be some missing pieces that haven't come out or they're not releasing as to the connection, how they were there, what was the actual motivation. Not that you have to prove at trial motive, but a jury likes to hear what the motive was. What was the motivation to actually have these three children killed? Why was that? So, that's going to be interesting. And as well as now we know that the 12-year-old who's now 14 is planning on testifying at trial against the other two. So, and they're saying that, like you had mentioned, that his sentence is going to be, or the plea that has been offered, and I guess he's agreed to take at this point, is life in prison with possibility of parole. Now, him being that young is interesting in Florida, because in Florida, first of all, if somebody has been charged with first degree murder in Florida, if they're under the age of 14, the state attorney gets to determine if they're going to even be charged as an adult. So first, that decision has been made. Then we also have, when you come to first degree murder, the Supreme Court of the United States has held that it's unconstitutional to have a minor be sentenced to death. So usually what happens in Florida, even if a minor is sentenced, it could be commuted to 25 years with possibility of parole. And that gets a little complicated in Florida, what's going on having to do with that. But I think we need to keep in mind that this particular defendant is 12, was 12 when this happened. And, to even, like you mentioned, sentence him to life, possibility of parole, and potentially getting out in 25 years. That's at 37. That's 37 years old. That is a long time for a 12-year-old, and these possibility that he potentially was coerced or threatened to do these acts.
And I want to go back to one point you had mentioned about the motive in this case, and it seems
Nigga ain't getting eligible for parole until he 37. Nigga only 14 right now. Nigga. Oh my God.
it's like from reports I've been reading, it was just about they were planning to buy this gun on social media. Then one of the suspects thought that someone was going to snitch on them, and then they shot just pretty much all the victims here. But what are your thoughts just on
what? That don't even make sense for me.
snitch on them, and then they shot just pretty much all the victims? One of the suspects thought that someone was going to snitch on them, and then they shot just pretty much all the victims here. But what are your thoughts just on this alleged?
So you finna snitch on me for trying to sell you a pole, and then I'm gonna shoot everybody in the car? That don't even make sense, gang. It gotta be some way deeper for you to catch 3 different bodies in the same night. It seemed like, cause what the fuck?
Alleged motive behind the crime, because it seems like if they thought snitching was going to be the reason for carrying out these acts, which is still horrible in itself to talk about, to say that. But what are your thoughts just about that particular motive, that they thought that they were going to be snitched on?
So, a trial.
Hold on, bro, because this video long as hell. Like, y'all already get the gist, man. Let's just skip to the end.
And in terms of, defense strategies for the other 2 teens who are still going to be facing trial, what do you think that could even look like? Is it just the seating arrangement in the car, because they have to kind of put together who shot who and where? Is it them kind of pointing the finger at one another? Because to me, just kind of looking at it, and obviously I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but I'm wondering, did they offer the youngest co-defendant a plea deal in order to kind of piece everything together, because maybe he would have been the easiest one to kind of get that information out of?
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.